So when we look at the revolution last year, you also have been quoted in several places, and Dr. Yunus also mentioned that you were the architect in many ways for the students to lead that revolution. How was your experience, and how did you manage to? I'm sure there were challenges. How did you manage to rally so many students? And of course, it's cutting across sections.
The thing is, I was not that kind of mastermind or something like that. Yes, but I did my part, and I tried to uh, I tried to have this experiences of politics and activism, and putting I have this experience into putting into this uprising and revolution. So I think it was my long 8 years journey which paved the way for this kind of communication, understanding, and sort of cross cultural and cross ideological relationship, and sort of strategizing things from different vantage point. So yes, that was the vantage point for me, and I have gathered. I have organized many protests and solidarity campaign in earlier years, like from 2020, 2022, 2023. So I knew people from different backgrounds, different political spectrum, like from left to right. We were people who were into that sort of adda and other things. So they were well acquainted with me and my activism. So when that time came, like people from various spectrum came into sort of unity and came into sort of solidarity uh, for the rising and against this fascist regime. So I took that opportunity to bring uh, bring them in all together. This is my sort of the experiences and expertise I put I put in field, and I think um, the political parties or political ideologies which have sort of um, yeah, into division for long 50 years. They were coming closer after Shapla Shahabag in 2013, and this was also a moment when the secularist and Islamist bloc came together for one cause, that we have to get rid of Asil. So this was the moment when I could do my do my part, and this is something which have translated into a successful uprising or revolution, you may say. So I think this is what I have done, and other things like strategizing, strategizing the demonstration, like where it can happen and how it can happen, and how can it be named, like what can be named after. So these things have some sort of mm, uh, some sort of good uh, good things in people mind, like when people knew about the name Bangla blockade. So it's some sort of new. What is blockade? So blockade is not something which Bangladeshi people knew earlier. Like they knew about Hortal, they knew about other things like protest, mass protest, or something like that. But they didn't know about blockade. They didn't know about how to get out of the campus, and how to go out of the campus and have some sort of citizen and student solidarity campaign. And BNP and other political parties, they have tried to be on the streets, but they couldn't because of the oppressive measures as Sheikh Hasina took. But it was students, so they could go out from campus, and for that reason, citizens from different walks of life had some sort of solidarity with those students. So it was blending in such a way that if you student citizen solidarity campaign from Bangla blockade for a long, like for a week period, it has sort of transcended all odds, like for all lots of previous 15 years. They couldn't go outside. They couldn't have sort of protest in taking place in streets. So students could, because rickshaw pullers, uh, the vendors, the other workers and laborers, and many people were sort of okay with this. That students have fair share in streets. They can seek, they can demand from fair sharing, job market, and other things. So it was a fair demand, and students and citizens went hand went together. And I think after 16 July, when Abu Said was shot and killed, that day it went to become a uprising thing. And afterwards, private university students came, and then curfew. Then we came out, and our student leaders came out from DB office and other places. And in 3rd August, or 3rd August, yes, in 3rd August it was something that we have to take uh, decisive path regarding our Malik's or this government or that government. So I think at that time we could present some sort of good vision, and in this way we in that month July, long July month, I think we have outlined some uh, vision and some statement, and I call it language of movement, which was not which wasn't in places for a long period, because you don't see the thing. The strength of Hasina was into this, that she was successful in dividing the country in secularist Islamist binary line. So the binary was faded away, and was being faded away. And I think this is something which really helped the uprising. So I took the opportunity, because I had that relationship with different people, different ideologies. So I could participate in that way. Yes. So
What do
this
you
is,
say was the role of the social media? Without the social media, how popular the movement would have become, and how much role and how much effort did you make in rallying people using social media?
I think social media was instrumental. You know that the in 2011, if I'm not wrong, yes, 11, there was Arab Spring in Egypt and elsewhere in Arab world. That was called Blue Revolution, because of the blue color of Facebook. So this is the time when this kind of social movements and political protest and processions was sort of were being um, televised. You know the phrase that revolution won't be televised. You know that phrase. So, but in this time, in this digital era, revolution is being televised. Every time everything you can see what's going on in field. So I think social media played a great role, and students and the Gen Z, as they are being described nowadays, they have taken that opportunity to really their demands and their aspirations in social media. And social media made a huge impact on this uprising, because without social media it couldn't happen. Yes, because in previous MS uprising, like in 69 and 1990, it was there was no social media. There was just papers, newspapers, and other magazines or things like that, or review, TV and radio. But this time, everything you can know, you get to know by just 10 minutes later
Instant.
that after incidents took place, like yeah, Abu Said has been shot. Okay, now go into procession. Okay, then you go into Facebook and flood it away with some hashtags and things. And you know that the curfew moment, when there was curfew, that 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong, that 2 weeks, yes, 2 weeks, students couldn't go out. Like there was curfew, army was there, and there was shoot at sight things everywhere in this country. So they took their social media handles and they were spreading it. And our diaspora community, Bangladeshi diaspora community worldwide, they have also taken part in this social media campaign, and they have also dealt with many political issues, uh, which was not a traditional thing. Yes, because they were not that much political, and this generation was not that much political. But in this process, social media and this uprising thing and other oppressive mechanisms, has to get the internet shutdown thing. Everything have facilitated the rage of this generation, and um, uh, this generation has been politicized for a, I think, for a long period. They will be politicized. They will be into political realm for 2 or 3 decades, and it couldn't happen without social media. And I think social media has played such a role. Like mm, uh, the students didn't have that type of political literacy that Hasina was propagating such a thing, like my father has done this and that, Malik has done this and that, I am doing this and that. So everyone was into this bubble that what TV stations and newspapers were preaching, were propaganda, were doing as propaganda, and Hasina had that strongholding everywhere. So when social media campaign and campaign started, and students from our age, they came to know the truth that we were into this bubble, we were into this relaxation that everything is okay. But they didn't know that like 3,000 people were extrajudicially killed, like thousands have been forcibly disappeared, and other such things um, like things of anxiety, things related to sort of we don't want to accept, we don't want to uh, get into that reality. Students were sort of avoiding that thing. We want job, we want this happy life, we want this happy life here or abroad. So they were faced with realities, many realities which they didn't want to see, or they couldn't see because of that media mechanism. But they came to see everything. Now this is so clear that every political party have now tough time. Like BNP has now tough time that you have to convince this generation, or else you are not going to succeed. So this thing has really changed a lot. Yes.
And then regarding the strategy for the revolution last year, you had mentioned that it became kind of a faceless movement so that single targeting of one individual does not happen. You were
Yes.
really taking care of that aspect. How did you strategize that?
Because of the selflessness of leadership. It is not my personal accomplishment. I think the leadership, like Nahid, Asif, Bakir, Kadir, Hasnat, or others, they had that courage and selflessness that we don't need to be figure, we don't need to be a card, we don't need to be some such names. We have to be united. We have to have fair share in leadership and in decision making. So I think this goes to them, because they had that courage in this younger age, and they've got that solid ground, I think, solid and pure intentions, which really affect the way. Or else in any movement in preceding years, like in the last 50 years, there was always this kind of leadership debates: who will go to the podium, who will lead this, and who won't. So I think at that time there was pure intent, there was pure intention, there was something I think I call it divine, something uh, they were into this kind of mission. We have to get rid of Hasina. We have to take the lead, and we have to go as far as possible if needed. So I think their courage, and obviously that was discussed as a strategy, and how to not get caught, and how a layer, if arrested, can be replaced by another layer. So you see that when there was a curfew, Nahi, then five others were into DB custody. So there were four, like Mahin, Abdul Qadir, and others, like two others, Hanan Masood. So Rifat Rashid. So they were doing this video things, and they were telling that if they will come out, we will go for this and that. So I think this was the bond, this was the relationship, this was some sort of honesty and integrity, and this was some sort of strategy too. Yes.
And you've mentioned that intellectuals in Bangladesh don't really understand 1971 in the right context,
Oh.
and then
So you saw that
2024.
video. Okay.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate on what is the gap between the understanding of the intellectual community in Bangladesh and these two landmarks?
You see that this was the favorite quote from Ahmad Safa, one of our intellectuals, and I think uh, he told it rightfully. Like in 1971, before 1971, in February or March, first part of March, intellectuals were not ready for this kind of change in the country. They couldn't see that it's coming. And in this time, yes, I am not going to mention any individual or intellectual. I talked to many because I was in this part. The student leaders were leading the movement, but I was sort of strategizing and engaging with all stakeholders. So I know everyone's view. So they were not aware of this coming. This event is coming, and this kind of mass movement can happen. We were ambitious, and we were sort of into this that it can happen. And in 10 July or 11 or 12 July, when there was this Bangla blockade thing was successful, and people from many walks of life was in solidarity with us. So we could sense that yes, it is the time is coming. But intellectuals whom we knew that time, and others, they couldn't sense. Yes, this is the one thing. And another thing is, in last 15 years, intellectuals whom we call as intellectual civil society members, they were sort of into this Awami League regimes paradigm, intellectual and cultural paradigm. They were not out of that. This is something which is very much alarming, because mm, uh, right now we don't have many people, because those people were incorporated into this system, this specific regime system, and the system was sort of like octopus. They couldn't they didn't leave anyone. Like everyone was corrupted, everyone was into this silence mode, and everyone is into this sort of clientele relationship with this government and state, with that government and state. So who were there to voice for us? So yes, there was shortage, there was some sort of unconsciousness among intellectual and civil society members. Yes.
Now, when you say that the public is waiting for a new political space to be created,
Yes.
how will you ensure that the new political space does not become a reflection of, as you mentioned, the society that already is? The people will only come from there, and you, of course, need more people also. So, how is the new political space going to be created?
Yes, there is some sort of shortage of institutional integrity and other things. Yes, but I think every uprising comes up with new men. It's some sort of philosophical. Yes, in Algerian movement there was new men idea, and there were in many places every such thing like uprising or regulation or some sort of state building project. There is some sort of imminence of new men. So new men should come, and new men should bring out some sort of new political spaces. I think new men has come, and this is our generation, people from our generation, that they have came out to streets, and they have came out for a glorified segment of our history, political and obvious political history. So I think these people will lead the path. Yes.
And what are the key tasks of your ministry? If you outline the first three or five uh, key initiatives.
For my ministry?
Yes, yes.
For my
What would they be?
Yes, these are already outlined because you know that we have only one thing in our mind always. This is called reforms in reforms of institution. So from my ministry, I think um, it's about reforms of media establishment, and the second thing I think it's about the July uprising and how to make it some sort of prominent and livable lived memory living memory for people. And the third one is um, about the welfare of journalists, obvious, because in Bangladesh journalists don't have that much of dignified life. So they are having some sort of 10 to 12,000 salary. So they have to go for go to political leaders, and they have to be some sort of dalals or something like that. So you see, so they have to have this dignified living. And I think it is the important thing for me that if we can facilitate the process for journalist welfare and their well-being and their sort of freedom, yes, we could do that. And other things which are sort of routine work, like in films, in sort of our broadcasting agencies, in other spaces, we could do better. So we are trying to have those consultations with stakeholders and the path forward. So we will do that. Those things
What
also.
about history books? Because you mentioned history is very important in now the next generation, even younger generation in schools. Do you plan to introduce this as a landmark, which every
It's
youth
already
is on
included. It's
in the
already
history
included
books?
in last year's textbook, and in some coming years, I think that will be included, like 1952 language movement, like 69's uprising, like 71 liberation war. Obviously, 71 liberation is bigger than everything. So yes, it was the foundation stone. Yes, and the 90's uprising. So, but unlike other uprisings and movement, this is something because of the because there is nearly 1,500 people were killed in a short period. Like, you don't see it even in Philistine. Like, in this short period, people are being killed like this way, and the use pellet gun. So this is something new in Bangladesh, and headshot and sort of what can be said about that? That targeted killing from upper building, from
Sniper.
rooftops, snipers. Yeah, and so the many instruments were used. And if you see some videos are there, in especially in Jatrabad area, tanks are coming, helicopter is sort of hovering, and people were sort of into protest, and this was like warlike situation, tanks, helicopter, shootings, and everything, and every um, apparatus of state were into this war. Like, it was a looming civil war, if not Hasina, if Hasina couldn't get away. So yes, this was something, and for that reason, it is unlike other uprising. It is outstanding, and it has paved a change of system, not only just regime. I know it's called regime change in many places in the world, but in our aspiration and dream, it ought to be a change of system, change of settlement, which will have impact on the coming generation. It is not that we got victory over Awami League or over Hasina. It is a negative way. But when you see it in a positive way, it is something for a better future for Bangladesh, a new Bangladesh. So
So when
yeah,
we talk of creation of new Bangladesh, you rightly accept that in social media there are no geographical spaces. So in that sense, when there's no boundary in virtual space, you're also communicating to the Indian side
yes.
directly with what we speak here. And what is your approach towards the role of India, and what would be your message going forward to build that relationship up once again?
I think from our side, we are very much open to India relationship with India. First thing is, Indian students were with this movement, and we are very much thankful to them. Like especially Kolkata's students, they were with us, and when there was curfew, there in Dhaka and other cities. So in that critical time, they were with us. We are very much thankful and grateful to them. And with their relationship with India, we are very much open to this relationship, and we have told it many times that yes, we have to have good relationship with India because with India is our neighboring country. This is not the only thing. There are many affinities between us. So um, this is very much this will be very much appreciable if India comes out of this kind of disengagement policy. Rather, it take it as it is, like it happened. So we have to move on. I think this policy will facilitate um, the well-being of citizens of both countries. Like we don't want any kind of constraints in the relationship. Obvious. It is from our side. It is obvious, and from my personal capacity, I have talked to many Indian uh, people, and I tried to reach out that come and see that what is happening. I think you are one of the first journalists coming out from India and having uh, this conversation. I think it should have been done in first month, like in August. It should have been done, and Indian citizens should know the true picture of Bangladesh. What is happening there? If it is wrong, it is wrong, but they should know what is right also. So I think from our side we are very much open and we are very much okay with this relationship. And obviously, this relationship should be based on mutual respect and understanding, and our cross-border uh, mutual interest. I think should be considered like river and other issues like border pass and things like that. So I think it's yes and positive from us, and we have approached, not India.
Given the neighborhood of Bangladesh, we're also seeing a lot of delegations coming, visits happening even now from Pakistan, from China. How do you place these two neighbors vis-a-vis Bangladesh's relationship with India?
So I think we have only two neighbors, yeah, no, immediate neighbors,
Yes.
Myanmar, and we have some sort of engagement with Myanmar, and, which is obvious because of the Rohingya issue. And we have many things to do with India, but as I said, it's sort of disengagement policy from India. And Indian media is advocating, Indian diplomats and civil society think tanks are advocating for this disengagement policy. And somewhat they're sort of following this disengagement policy. This should be shunned away. And about China and Pakistan, I think Bangladesh has the right to have some sort of balanced foreign policy and sort of foreign policy outlook and relationship with other countries, namely China, Pakistan, or others. So I think Bangladesh, as far as Bangladesh is not doing anything which will be in contrast with uh, uh, mutual interest and respect. I think it couldn't be sensed as something that Bangladesh is going out of India's hand. Why Bangladesh is going out? It is not the question of India's hands, our hands, or their hands. India and Bangladesh have two different identities, two different entities, two sovereign countries. So India should respect the sovereignty, respect the sovereign decision of Bangladesh engagement with different countries, and Bangladesh will look into this thing that the mutual interest and the regional stability uh, uh, shouldn't be sort of compromised in any manner. So I think this is certain. So India's worry about Bangladesh, I think it is sort of prejudiced, and I think it is coming out of engagement with only one party, namely Awami League. So if India could have some sort of relationship with different parties of Bangladesh, different groups of Bangladesh, they they could have better relationship, better standing in this time. So yes, they should realize this, and they should revise their foreign policy outlook. They shouldn't just look it into through the eyes of some sort of Islamophobia or some sort of Muslim. So it is Muslimistan in Eastern Front, and there is another Muslimistan in Western Front. No, Pakistan and Bangladesh has different trajectories and different paths to take. So it's the same. We have different history. Yes.
What is your view on political Islam? Also, how do you see mob justice? Do you justify it, or do you completely disagree with it?
So you see that before 5th August, even till 5th August, it was people. It was not more. But after 5th August or other or times after that, like in months of like September, October, I think it is something criminal acts were happening across the country, and the people were taking laws in their country, in their own hands. So I think it was criticized and it was taken into account by our government and especially me. I have you can see in newspapers. I have told many times and I have engaged with them. I have talked to them and from my capacity and from government's capacity I have done my part that it doesn't regard in any way and you see that after September there was no such thing like minority violence against minority and things like that. I don't really uh, avoid the. I want to avoid this narrative that nothing has happened to the Hindus and other minorities. Obviously, some issues were there, some criminal acts were there, but this was not that big. Like in any election in Bangladesh, you can see in any election, any general election in 2008, 2014, there was always this kind of thing that violence or some sort of hatred against minority was there. But this time it was less than that. Really, it was less than that. You can go through the books, you can go through the newspapers and anything. So I think Bangladeshi people's conscience and consciousness was very much into this understanding that we don't want to have any differences and difficulties. And minority, like 9 minority people from Hindu community was killed, were killed. So they were also with us. It is not like we have any issues with them. Yes, they had some sort of historical understanding and affinities with Awami League. Yes, this is some sort of for some historical reasons. For Pakistan's East Pakistan state policy against minority, there was some sort of alignment with Awami League and Hindu people. Yes, but that doesn't mean that we are shining away from engagement with them. We want this kind of um, relationship with minority communities, and I think it is there, and we have taken every possible steps for their betterment. Yes. And what did you ask?
I asked about political Islam because
Whoa.
their concern is also about role of Jamaat and elections coming.
So
How do you see their future or a growing presence or a growing role?
I think political Islam in Bangladesh has some sort of some sort of, if not stagnant, but specified or specific vote bank. So it historically it didn't go up to 12 to 15%. So when you see at election outcome or results, you can see that they are not coming to power. They will have some sort of share in electoral politics. They will have some seats, but they won't come into power. And in no time they will. So this is not the matter of concern, I think. And another thing which is very much academic and I think which is overlooked by many from Indian establishment, that political Islam has been transformed in Bangladesh. True, political Islam was being transformed after 90s, where Soviet Union was sort of into this shambles and the things, and Soviet Union was not there. So Soviet Union was that the political Islam has less less things to do. You know that the world politics. So they are having this some sort of revision, historical revisionism about their political theology and political theory. So coming there, if you see in Turkey, in other parts of the Muslim world, political Islam has been compromised. This is not in that belligerent mode like 90s or 80s. So I think in Bangladesh that also happened. It is now in post-Islamic, post-Islamism phase in academic term. So it is not that type of belligerent or like jihad, sort of quote unquote jihadi thing. So I think they have, and I think in Bangladesh it has happened too, like any other countries from Muslim world, and this has been overlooked by Indians. They are seeing Jamaat as 71 thing, and I'm not advocating that all have been changed. There are some elements, obvious, there who are very much into this kind of mundane political Islam theories and theologies, political theologies. But um, those are few, and they don't have some sort of traction in Bangladeshi mainstream political spectrum. So why should worry about them? Yes, if it is the issue of law and order and security, we are taking care of them. If it could have been a threat, there could be some incident. You see that in last 18 months nothing happened. So I think there will be nothing, inshallah. And I think the issues of political Islam and other things should be looked into from the vantage point of Bangladesh specific location and Bangladeshi specific trajectory. So Bangladesh was a secular country, and I am against the secularist theory, but obviously Bangladesh is secular and will be secular country. This is non-negotiable, and I think the nature of the state uh, will be sort of all-encompassing and sort of inclusive for all communities and societies and religions, yes, and cultures.
But
So
why do you say you are against the secularist theory?
So I because secularism as ism is something which doesn't comply with the common cultural practices of this land. So I am against this as ism as theology, theory and theology. It is something which goes in line with Islamophobia, and it did in last 53 years in Bangladesh. So it had sort of inimical relationship with these Muslim communities, like people coming from village, people coming with Punjabi and Tufi, turban and some sort of beard. So they have some sort of inimical relationship. State apparatus was used as from a secularist viewpoint that they should be inimical towards this traditional societies and communities. We don't want that. But again, we don't want Islamists to take over. So this is different thing. We want a middle path when they will be respected. Their cultural practices, our traditional societies' cultural practices will be appreciated and will be sort of taken into account in state policies. But the state's nature will be secular. So it is about this middle path that you are not going in a hard line that you are a secularist. You are going to kill all people from coming out from madrasa and coming out or who are ulema, who are having some sort of
The
beard
other.
and things. And again, you are not going to leave space for those who want this country to be a country of Islam or Islamist only, or having this kind of superiority complex as a specific community, a member of a specific community, that we have this, so we have this some sort of God-given authority. So no, we don't want that too. But state's nature should be secular, but secularist way should be shunned away. Rather, it could be an inclusive way that you are going to include all into your political spectrum, but without having this kind of over imposition or some sort of superiority of others over others.
Last question: how soon do you think elections will be held in Bangladesh? Is the society ready, and are the political parties also ready? According to you, how soon do you see it happening?
So we have a timeline like from 25 December of 25 to June 26. This is the time. But you see that Bangladeshi people were dreaming of a new political settlement, where new political cultures, obviously political culture and political vision will be, and there and other changes in institutions in other places, but that didn't happen obviously, and that couldn't happen in this short period. So I think half-heartedly they will join the electoral process, but what can be done? This is something, without consensus we cannot do anything. So
So
there
when you mentioned half-hearted, yesterday we heard Nahid's statement publicly saying that the government seems to be interim government seems to be aligned with the BNP. Uh, Apparently, there are indications that in case elections are pushed early, there will be protests again. Do you see something like that happening?
So I think I didn't know Knight's sentence as it
Okay.
is, but I think one thing is certain that government is going to implement some short-term and mid-term reforms, and I think election will take place in this time. But obviously, unfortunately, why I am telling this, because Bangladesh, the generation which took the lead and which had that courage to go and being wounded by this government state apparatus, they were having these dreams of a new political settlement, a new country. But for that reason, they will be half-hearted.
But
For
do you
general,
see a more unrest or protests happening over this issue in coming forward?
I think this is a time for unity. This is a time for consensus. It is not a time for protest. More protest, or also more sort of violence. Because if our nation can be united on the line of democratic transition and democratic future, then something bad could happen. So better being united and having some sort of uh, understanding among political parties and political stakeholders and other stakeholders, it would be beneficial for all.